Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 5th of 2019 Muscatine City Council meeting. Greg, will you please do the roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilmember Spread.
Present.
Harvey.
Present.
Brockert.
Present.
Salcedo.
Present.
Brackett.
Present.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Malcolm.
Present.
7 present. All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Will you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We have a special agenda item, and we are going to start with that. Chief Evers, will you please come to the podium?
Mayor, Council. On Wednesday, June 12, 2019, the Muscatine Fire Department responded to 410 Park Drive for a report of a structure fire. Upon our arrival, all occupants had exited the residence to safety. Muscatine Fire Department units had moderate smoke coming from the back of the residence and prepared for an active structure fire. Battalion Chief Hillard was able to gain access into the residence and found that the fire was under control and that the residence contained a large amount of trapped smoke. Positive pressure ventilation was used to remove the smoke products, reducing the damage. After the scene was safe, an interview of family members was completed. It was determined that one of the residents, Isabel, actions contributed to reducing damage to the structure and even lives by her quick thinking and actions. An overview of the events, what had happened while cooking dinner, Myrna Maresca, the mother, had accidentally left a burner on the stove that had a pan containing hot grease inside it. The hot grease caught fire when the stove was unattended. Isabella saw the fire when she entered the kitchen, stating that it was about 2 foot high, reaching the microwave above the stove. She yelled for her family that the kitchen was on fire, and her mother Myrna came to the kitchen. Isabella retrieved the fire extinguisher off the wall in the next room and brought it to her mother. She eventually extinguished the fire before it fully extended into the cabinets, causing more damage or total loss to the residents. The quick response not only saved the fire from becoming out of control with a residential ABC fire extinguisher, but also may have saved the lives of personnel not aware of the fire in the structure. Isabel learned these critical fire safety skills from the Muscatine Fire Department's public education program and also watching YouTube videos about fire safety. On behalf of the City of Muscatine and the Muscatine Fire Department, we would like to recognize Isabel Maresca with the Muscatine Fire Department Meritorious Civilian Award. This is only the third time this award has been given out to a citizen of Muscatine. The Meritorious Civilian Award is presented for actions termed outstanding performance in the course of action where a civilian demonstrates remarkable performance relating to the protection of life and/or property. We would like to recognize Isabel's actions by presenting her with a Meritorious Civilian Award plaque and letter describing the incident that saved property and lives. So again, on behalf of the Muscatine Fire Department and the City of Muscatine, we'd like to issue you the Muscatine Fire Department Meritorious Civilian Award. It says, presented to Isabel Maresca for demonstrating outstanding performance amidst a stressful fire situation. Your actions on June 12th, 2019 ensured the safety of your entire family. So again, I'd like to
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Isabel. Mrs. Maresca. We're going to continue on with tonight's agenda. Is there anybody here tonight that would like to address council about something that's not already on tonight's agenda? Hearing nothing, we'll go ahead and move on. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Tonight, Cinda's not with us, and she's going to be taking the minutes from the tape later. So if everybody will please be mindful and speak directly into your microphones. Please state your name and
Jim
address.
Meredith, 1986 Bayfield. Months ago, when the Mississippi Drive was supposed to have been finished, I came to a meeting and there was quite a discussion on the handicap accessibility when you back in. And the yes man from the construction company said, yep, that can be fixed. That can be fixed. We can do that. To this day, nothing has been done. I just parked down here at the corner of Iowa and Mississippi Drive, backed in, of course. I had to walk all the way around my vehicle in front of all the traffic. I had to walk another 30 feet in the street to get to the sidewalk to come down.
Because that's where the ramp is?
There's no ramp.
So why was that any different than just going up on the curb? I'm trying to picture what you're saying.
That's not handicap accessible, jumping up on a curb.
That's what I mean. So do you need to go where it's level?
Yeah.
To get up? That's what I was asking.
Yeah, there's no handicap
I was
accessible
calling that a
there
ramp,
whatsoever.
but I guess it's not.
None.
Okay.
I mean, are we waiting for somebody to get run over and killed there first before something's done? I mean, this was months ago. And,
Thank you.
and they said, yep, we can fix that. And nothing's been done. I don't know about the other places up and down Mississippi Drive, but I know damn well that one isn't.
Thank you, Mr. Meredith. We'll ask for an update. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, we'll continue on. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, which includes items 6A and B, items 8A through G, items 9A and B, items 12A through C, and tonight's bills totaling $1,852,451.47.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Brackett. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will continue down to number 7. We have 2 public hearings tonight, and the first public hearing concerns the declaration of property located on Roby Avenue as surplus property and offering this property for sale to the adjoining property owners, Clint and Dana Church, for the purchase price of $8,828. Now is the time for the public to comment. Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to close?
Move to close.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with the second by Councilwoman Brockert. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The second public hearing tonight concerns the proposed 2019 asphalt alley project. The City of Muscatine Public Works Department has compiled a list of alleys to be asphalt overlaid. The alleys have been measured, and an estimate has been created along with the plans and specifications. Now is the time for the public to comment. Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to close?
Move to close.
Second, please.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Malcolm. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have a proclamation. For Constitution Week, whereas September 17th of 2019 marks the 232nd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore I, Diana Broderson, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Muscatine, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through September 23rd of 2019 as Constitution Week. And I ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution and those that they had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I've put my hand to this, and I would appreciate it if you would come to the podium. Don Anderson, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, and we appreciate it. Thank you. We will continue down to number 11. A, presented for City Council's consideration is the third and final reading of an ordinance on the proposed amendment to Title 8, Chapter 7, Building Regulations, Mechanical Code. The Iowa Department of Public Health has adopted new codes, and to stay in compliance with state laws, the city must adopt the new standards. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance on third and final reading and to direct for its publication as required by law?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Spread. Is there any discussion? Hearing nothing. Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
And Councilwoman Brockert.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11B. We have presented for City Council's consideration the third and final reading of an ordinance on the proposed amendment to Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 11 of City Code Floodplain Regulations. The Iowa Department of Natural Resources has requested that the City of Muscatine add 6 definitions to the city's floodplain management regulations. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance on third and final reading and to direct for its publication as required by law?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
This ordinance is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11C, and we have tonight presented for City Council's consideration the first reading of an ordinance amending Title I, Chapter 10, Section 2E1B. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of this ordinance as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Nay.
Councilman Harvey?
Nay.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Nay.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
This motion carries with a vote of 4 ayes. 11D, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution declaring property located on Roby Avenue as surplus and authorizing the sale of said property to the adjoining property owners, Clint and Dana Church, in the amount of $8,828. amounts, what we talked about in public hearing A. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution then as submitted?
So
moved,
moved,
Your
Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Salcedo?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
This resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11E. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution approving the revised plans, specifications, form of contract, cost estimate, and setting a date of September 19th of 2019 for receipt of bids for the 2019 Asphalt Alley Program. This project was previously bid, and all bids were rejected. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Malcolm. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald? And Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11F, presented for City Council's consideration, is a resolution approving the contract and bond for the Mulberry Avenue and Second Street Roundabout project. On August 15th of 2019, the project was awarded to Higher Construction for $2,114,738. Staff now recommends that the approval of the contract and bond for this project. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion?
I wanted to discuss time frame on it.
Okay, well,
Go ahead.
that's part of the discussion. So yesterday, there was a meeting involving the folks, it was at the library,
Right.
and it was involving the folks affected by what's going to happen on Second Street. And the concern was that if we start this late in the year, that it will adversely affect their holiday season, and that's a big deal for most of the downtown merchants. So, city staff is amenable to pushing back construction to the extent possible, probably meaning first quarter next year. But in the contract, it says that there are 70 working days allowed in that, and there's a concern that 70 working days may not be sufficient if you push the project back for a host of reasons. So, what I would like to offer is a friendly amendment that says city staff, specifically the city engineer, has the capacity to negotiate perhaps as many as 10% more, 7 more days if necessary, to reasonably complete the project.
I would second that amendment.
Is there any other questions?
Not a
Yes,
question.
go ahead.
Is that?
Go ahead, Greg.
Just a point of clarification I want to make, and I think it's a good compromise as well. Critical piece is making sure that we get the underground work done over the winter and before any potential flooding. Hopefully there's no flooding, but before any potential flooding done. From my perspective, that's the most critical aspect of the project. So we're certainly amenable to working with Higher Construction, who I understand was also amenable to making these changes as well. So, and
Okay.
working with the downtown property owners.
Perfect.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address this?
So go ahead. I just want to be clear.
Okay.
So what are we approving then? Are we approving that they're going to start still this fall and do the underground work and then do the concrete work in the spring?
I don't recall the specific dates that they had, but it was somewhere between October and December. There were some dates that they had thrown out where they had, is their highest shopping times. And here we come. And what we want to make sure is that we can still get the project done this winter, and especially get the underground utility easements, underground utility work done before any spring potential flooding.
Brian, did you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add on to that. We are amenable to moving the construction back. We would not try to get anything in before Christmas time if that's the case. That's the the concern of the business owners. We don't want to affect their holiday sales. The impression that I got is basically anytime after January, it's okay to start, and I think that's what we'd be looking for. We will work with our contractor to get a start date that's amenable for him. Obviously, we would like to get underground construction done as soon as possible, but the ground does freeze in the winter, so we'll have to see where we are. But I think if we work together and we can make this happen and have minimal effect on the business owners, so that's our goal.
So
Go ahead.
we're still planning then on doing, always allowing traffic to still somewhat work through there until we get to a point where we're probably combining and completely doing the connection from what we already did previously to the new connections that we're putting in.
Correct. It'll be our goal to try to keep everything flowing as smoothly as possible. Obviously, there will be just delays and there will be detours. But until we have to get to that point where you're right, where we have to close things down, then that's what we'll try to do.
Are the buildings not being affected by this?
Which buildings?
The buildings on the sides that we
They're-
purchased?
Those buildings will both be coming down. The RFP, has it gone out?
One has been,
out?
I think it's on the agenda for tonight. to be
Yeah, it's on
awarded.
for tonight.
Right, and then the second one will be, once we acquire possession of the property, then we will, we've received bids for those. We can't award them until we have possession of the property, so we're waiting for that. So this timing thing will kind of work out just fine that way, because we still have to get the buildings down before we can start anyway.
And for the second building, we're just waiting for them to get everything out.
Okay, and I just wanted to more looking at if we could potentially push the whole thing to the spring. That's, I mean, if we're still gonna tear the buildings down and we're not gonna have that, then I'm more towards pushing it in the spring, but I understand your concerns as far as the flooding goes too. It's hard for us to tell. I mean, we didn't know that we were gonna run into so many issues as we did earlier as well.
Right, and that's something we'll have to watch. If we have to close the floodgates, like the business owner said, that it's kind of the same point anyway. So if we can get work done around the water table, that's what we issue with run into with
that we were
the
talking about.
flood.
I think Phil
Right.
brought that up a couple of weeks back. The water table is the thing. It don't matter if we flood, but the water table doesn't go down.
Right, and that's one of those things where Councilman Spread is right. We may need some flexibility in working days, because it could be a bluebird day, but the water's so high we can't do anything, and then the contractor, he gets punished for that, which isn't fair to him. So that's some things that we can all work through, I think, and we either with amendments or change orders to the contract. We just, at this point, need to get the contract awarded and go from there.
I'm good with that. So can you tell me, are we still then gonna be trying to do what work this fall and what work in the spring?
Demolition of the building that we have already awarded would begin soon. Once the other building is procured, that demolition could start as well. That doesn't affect the street. There's no road closures with that. We would wait then until after the holiday shopping season, so December,
Okay. So
end of
basically
December
we're
to
starting
start.
in the next year.
The temporary road could be constructed as well.
There are things that could be done,
From
out of the
Second-
roadway that wouldn't affect
Second-
traffic.
Second to Mulberry,
I'm good with that.
that road could be constructed as well.
I think probably the single most important takeaway from yesterday's meeting, from the standpoint of the merchants that were there, is make this as short as possible, minimize the impact. So with that in mind, be aware that one of the things coming at us yet this winter will be the proposal to redo the sidewalks on Second Street, and will likely affect all of this as well, and probably try and compress all of that to minimize the impact to the merchants.
Councilman Harvey, you have the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. Brian, is there any underground work that could be done yet this fall that would not basically close traffic off?
Very little. There is a duck bank that needs to be constructed that would take up part of the lane on Second Street. There is some work that needs to be done around the corners that we could potentially squeeze the lanes down and keep things open, but that's something we'll have to look at with our contractor and determine.
I realize doing things kind of here and then here and then here is not efficient. But I was just wondering whether, it would help at all to do something that didn't really disrupt the Christmas season, but still would give you some
Yeah.
progress.
Once we get him under contract, which is what we need to vote on, then we can have all those conversations, but really until then, we can't do that stuff, so.
So one last question. So will we change the dates then on the contract as far as expectations goes from the beginning of the start work and the end work?
We would have to, yes.
Okay. All right.
So Brian, I have one question. If we do this, Will we incur any additional costs or penalties for changing it, or are they agreeable with, is this okay with them?
With the contractor?
Yeah,
Well, I haven't specifically asked him, but I think it would probably work out okay. There you go. He's in the room, so he just nodded that we'll work it out. I think we're all amenable to working together to get this, the best solution possible.
yeah, I met him, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have before us a motion by Councilman Spread with the second by Councilman Brackett to amend the time frame on this contract. Councilman Spread, how do you vote on that?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
The amendment passes. To the original vote to approve the contract and bond, Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
Aye.
This resolution is also adopted with all ayes. We're on 11G, and we have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution to approve the combined preliminary final plat for Tulip subdivision. The current parcel, located at 2300 Park Avenue, contains 2 buildings with separate businesses. This will create separate lots for each business. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, I have
Go
a
ahead.
quick question. Is it normal for us to take a plot like this and call it a subdivision and just divide it up? Why is it we do that?
Mayor, council, under city code and state law, when you re-subdivide an existing subdivision, it's considered a subdivision. You have to go through the plat process.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Hearing nothing else, Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
Aye.
This resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're now on 11H, and we have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution awarding the contract for the West Side Trail to Higher Construction for the amount of $1,221,380.28. The engineering estimate for this project was $986,000. There are funds available in the bond issue to cover the cost that exceeds the estimated amount due to changes in the airport hangar project. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Spread. Is there any discussion?
Is this going to be all asphalted or concrete?
While Jim's on his way up, there were two bids received. Their process, the state's process is different than ours, so we don't know if the bond was included in that. They just simply do not open it up. We will open up the package to determine if there is a bond. So, but given recent prices and the quality of the contractor's work, we were very comfortable moving forward with this project and the excess proceeds from the airport project.
Mayor, council, was the question just strictly whether it's asphalt or concrete?
Yes.
Yeah, it's all gonna be
Councilman
concrete.
Brackett.
Mostly because it's gonna run in front of residential, a lot of it's gonna run in front of residential, so it's, the request was that it be more like sidewalk.
So in this case, the sidewalk that we have for this, it's going to throw me into a different question is, do we have a spec that they follow for sidewalks? Because when I was reviewing the sidewalk code that we have in our code, it doesn't really give us specifics for thicknesses nor base thickness.
There's actually a set of plans that have all of the requirements for this project in it.
Yeah.
So it's not,
It's not going to be,
Subject
it's
to-
not going
to
to be
that.
similar to what a sidewalk would be like we're
No.
putting down on 8th Street.
It'll be
No.
similar to Cedar Street, more than a sidewalk. On Cedar Street, we use our small equipment.
yeah, just-
We need to be able to put small equipment on there to be able to clean those routes quicker in safely, starting with safe routes to school, but,
So this basically will be our only section of all our trails that would have concrete.
No,
Cedar
that,
Street.
that wouldn't be true. A big
I'm asking.
piece, a big piece of the Deep Lakes Trail is concrete.
as well as Cedar Street.
Okay.
And then, yeah, Cedar Street has concrete trail on it also, a little bit.
Okay. I'm good with it.
Are you
Thank
good?
Yep.
Anyone
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Hearing nothing else, Councilman Saucedo, how do you vote?
All right.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
And Councilman Fitzgerald.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11I. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution setting a public hearing on September 19th of 2019 concerning the vacation of utility easements at 3702 and 3811 Park Avenue West. This request was submitted by White Distribution to vacate unused and unneeded utility easements that encroach on existing buildings. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion? Were we able to get those attachments corrected?
Yes.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
All right.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11J. We have now presented for City Council's consideration a resolution setting a public hearing for September 19th of 2019 concerning the vacation of utility easements on lots 4B and 4C in Sunrise subdivision for development by University Storage. University Storage is proposing to dedicate an easement along the south edge of Lot 4C to accommodate the construction of a storm sewer and other potential utility extensions. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
All right.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11K. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution setting a public hearing for September 19th of 2019 concerning the vacation of right-of-way located adjacent to the property of Ken and Dana LaRue at 922 Hancock Street. The LaRues plan to purchase the property from the city and construct a new building and other improvements that would accommodate their business vehicles for non-emergency medical transport. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. Have we addressed the neighbors' concerns with this resolution?
Andrew said he had some ideas last time we met.
Mayor, council, we had the first site plan meeting with them. Still a work in progress, but there's two things I can report. That there will not be any driveways that directly align with anyone's home, and currently looking at potentially, instead of both exits, entrance and exits to the facility off of Hancock, making one potentially off the Lake Park Boulevard sign, but that's still something working through with the applicant and their engineer.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And for everyone to know, there will be, this is tonight's vote is to set a public hearing at which time anybody can come and ask and talk and ask questions.
So in that public hearing, would we have probably some view of what that site assessment will have, Andrew?
Will we have more details?
Like a little more detailed drawing maybe of what they may be proposing of that potential Lake Park exit? Okay. Okay.
For the
Just-
folks at home, Andrew, our development director, our city planner, says that he will ask to have that here at the public hearing.
Obviously, it's a lot bigger of the property, and yeah, if they can have some sort of a, exit not coming out through Hancock but if the lake park would be an ideal situation for that entry and exit. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Nay.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with 6 ayes. We are on 11L, and we have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution setting a public hearing for, boy, we're going to have a lot, September 19th of 2019, concerning the vacation of right-of-way for Briar Street and portions of the adjoining alley. Briar Street no longer serves an interest to anyone beyond the adjoining property owners. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion?
A quick question.
Go ahead.
Assuming we approve this, is the plan to sell then the adjoining right-of-ways to the adjoining property owners? That's not part of tonight, but that's, just asking if that's the goal.
That is an absolute excellent question. Mayor, Council, as you're aware, we have the Grandview Avenue project coming up, which rolls right through there. So we met extensively with the property owners on either side of that piece of right-of-way. Rather than spend the money to put a street down through there with modified access for those properties and trying to figure out how you were going to do parking and everything else in there for those businesses that they use that for, what we discovered was that neither one of those property owners were the least bit interested in that. In fact, I think the best way to summarize it would be just please leave me alone. So rather than spend the money to build a piece of street and all of the modifications to the parking and everything else, we suggested, or we asked if they were interested in us abandoning that right away. So in essence, the answer to your question is no. We are not selling it to them. We are basically not doing any of those improvements that we were going to do and just giving them that right away. And
Let them
then
use it.
it's theirs. And that's what they wished. So to me, it's a win-win because we don't end up spending
Sure.
quite a bit of money to put that street in.
If we abandon it, then it no longer belongs to the city. But if we don't sell it to them, who does it end up belonging to?
It will belong to them. I mean, what we do is this plat and we deed it to them. It gets
Oh, okay.
recorded for them.
So it goes on the tax rolls then?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mayor, Council, what we typically do in that is, it's like a property sale, but we sell it to them for like a nominal dollar amount or something. Just
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Councilman? Hearing nothing else, Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11M, and we have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution creating and setting a late fee for grease renewal applications. The Water Resource and Recovery Facility sends reminder letters to all establishments 120 days prior to the expiration of their grease discharge permit. There are annually 10 to 20 establishments that do not renew until 3 to 12 months past their expiration date. The reminder letters and follow-up visits take up staff time that could be more efficiently used in other areas. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with the second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11N. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve 2 additions to the City of Muscatine Employee Handbook. Number 1 is retaliation policy. Number 2 is pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter 20. The city attorney is the designated representative for union negotiation matters. As such, it is a violation of Iowa law for any employee to negotiate or attempt to negotiate directly about union matters with an elected official. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Spread. Is there any discussion?
I had a couple comments on this. So this was due to, actually, and I agree with these changes partially. This is, I think, due to the code change that we're talking about. So to me, it would be more appropriate to have this on the same agenda as the final reading of that code change, at which point this would, because this is a direct result of that code change. And the other item too is, although I don't have a problem with it because it's just a repeat of existing Iowa code, I don't see the point in adding number 2 into that because that is addressed by state of Iowa code already, which we had discussed at the last meeting, and the city attorney agreed at that point in time that code did not need to be added in because it was already addressed by Iowa code. But
When you say number 2, are you talking the union or retaliation?
the union part,
The union piece, I believe it was yourself that asked the city attorney to come back after reviewing this, the code change, to make sure that there wasn't anything that we needed to do to the employee handbook, and these were the recommended changes that's
Okay.
coming forward from HR and
Yeah.
city attorney, based on that code change. You can do it tonight, you could wait till the next meeting. Personally, adding these 2 things to the handbook in and of themselves is, in my mind, a good idea.
right? And like I said, I don't have
Anyways.
an issue with it,
Right.
and I intend to vote yes on this tonight. I just, it would make, to me, the timing of it should have probably fallen with the 3rd reading of that.
It could,
So.
either way, it felt that
Yeah.
it was probably a good addition either way.
Okay.
Go
Go ahead.
I had the same thought as Kelsey, but after hearing Greg and thinking about myself, these are good additions anyway, so we might as well incorporate them now as, waiting, because we probably want them in there regardless of how the other vote comes out.
I thought I heard the city attorney also say you don't even really have to put in number 2 because it's already a state law. It's not like you could do otherwise if you wanted to. So it's kind of a moot point, but it never hurts.
Yeah,
So,
well, and
yeah.
when I think about it, this is the
Sure.
handbook,
Yeah,
not
it's a policy
the
Yeah.
code,
Yeah.
so it's
It's a place
not.
for the
Well, just a
employee to
minute.
know the
About
rules.
it.
Councilman Spread,
Information.
Councilman Brackett's talking. Go ahead.
So, yeah, and basically what I was gonna say is, when I think that conversation, what it was not adding it into city code. So this, this is fine, that's right, that does fall under the request that I made, that if there's anything in the handbook that needs to be changed, so.
Correct.
Like I said, my main comment on it was just that the timing of it,
Not many
I felt
people
should have
read the
fallen with
state
the other.
code, and this information
Sure.
will be in the handbook, which they are required to read and sign off on.
okay, sounds good, thank you.
Councilman Spread, did you want to speak now?
Greg said it well.
Hearing nothing else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11O. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to change the compost facility site operations. This change would incorporate a fee for non-city residents and commercial services using the facility. Estimated costs for this change are $15,102.74. This item is not budgeted, but it is expected that the revenue would cover the cost by the end of the fiscal year 2020. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Fitzgerald with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
I have a few questions as well. Go ahead.
Granted, I think it's a good idea, but is there, is there gonna be an issue of how we determine whether they're residents or not?
So, Mayor and Council, one of the parts of this proposal is that we would purchase stickers that we would issue to residents within the city limits of Muscatine. They could display this in their window, they could keep it in their wallet and show it to us. The attendant would have the ability to check their address on a map or via Google Maps to verify.
I'm going to interrupt real quick. I don't think that you're hitting the microphone enough, and this is definitely information we'll want the public to have. I know it's in the packet. It is in the packet, but sorry, I just wanted to interrupt to point
That
that out.
better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did I
You want to
finish?
repeat that for us, Dave?
They're going
So-
to get a sticker.
To verify if you're a city resident or not, one option would be to pick up a sticker at no charge, City Hall, Public Works, transfer station, that would verify. You could either actually place this in your window of your vehicle or keep it in your wallet or whatnot, and show that to the attendant that will be checking people in.
So will each adult in the house get one? So like, would I get one and my husband get one too, or we have,
Per
It would
vehicle.
be
per vehicle?
per
vehicle.
vehicle, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had two questions, actually. It says that not only out-of-town people will start paying, but commercial people. So like a contractor like Phil. So my question is, if the money that the way I understand the supporting documents are, the reason we're doing this is because people that are residents of Muscatine are paying for this service through the bill that we pay each month that's included in our Muscatine Power and Water bill.
Correct.
So if I hired Phil to come and do some work at my house, and then he hauled my stuff down there, shouldn't it be free for me? Because I'm already paying for it. So I'm going to be double paying if I have someone else do the work for me.
That is something we could certainly look at. What you're saying is the contractor should not be expected to pay for that since it's coming from a city resident.
Because what they will end up doing, and I wouldn't blame them a bit, is they will tack that onto the bill that they give to the homeowner.
You bet they will.
Because they would have to,
Part
you
of the
know.
contractors.
And so then theoretically, the homeowner then is paying twice.
Yeah, and we would take that into consideration, and, the attendant would have the ability to have leeway on applying charges.
Okay. My second question is, the way I understand the supporting documents are that you have two part-time current staff that are gonna man this,
That's
one at
the
a time.
proposal of
Yes.
moving forward.
And so when you're figuring out the money and how much it's gonna cost to do this, the document says that these part-time staff, their hours are already budgeted for, so that's not included
Correct,
in this amount.
correct.
But what are they already doing? They've got to give up some part of their job in order to do this, so who's going to do their old job?
These would be new hires.
So then it says they're already budgeted for, though.
They're in the budget to pay employees a 3/4 time and a seasonal, but we don't have those employees on staff.
So we budgeted for more than what we have hired?
No.
No.
What we budgeted to pay a 3/4 time employee and a seasonal employee is already in the budget. That dollar figure is already in the budget. The 3/4 time employee that we had was promoted to a full-time employee, and we never hired a seasonal employee this year.
Okay.
So we're basically not drawing money out of that payroll
Okay.
currently.
So you're gonna have someone down there operating the CAT or whatever.
So that portion of the operations we would pick up in-house with the employees down at the transfer station.
Okay.
The two part-time employees hired would strictly be manning the gate, so for say, checking,
Yeah.
verifying residents or billing non-residents.
Define a commercial person that's hauling brush. Is
We
that
would
is
consider
like
that
a
to be.
Freers type
Yes, yep, tree
business?
services, yes.
It's not Phil Fitzgerald with a tandem axle dump
No.
trailer that's hauling trees off of his property?
No,
Okay.
yeah, it would be your tree services.
Okay, and they are already, aren't they already?
So currently there's
Weighing
a
and
per ton fee set for those.
Right.
So the scale is open till 3:30.
Oh.
After 3:30, it's open gates.
Okay.
Where if we went to a fee at the gate, we're not relying on the scale being in operation.
And what we're seeing, in addition to the storms that we've had, we're seeing a ton of increased material and cost that the cities had to pick up and to get rid of that material or burn. Nobody liked burning. We're getting, you get a ton of
Mulch.
That
Well,
extra grinding we
and
did last year.
The extra grinding, we used to get free service, and we also have a ton of trunks down there as well. So we got a lot of extra material that the city and residents, or we've had to pick up those extra costs.
You know, this is what I would consider the first step in, you know, trying to evolve this facility into something more than just a dump, you know. Down the road, if this first step, you know, pans out and proves to be successful, we could look at, you know, equipment to process, you know, the product that we're grinding and screening and whatnot. And it also, as far as the commercial users, you know, we would hope to encourage them to find other resources, you know, your brush, you know, purchase a chipper and you can dump the chips for free. Or your logs, you know, advertise and find somebody that likes to burn firewood that would take it for free.
And Dave mentioned the quality of the product that they've been able to work on, and it's not that long bark that we've had down there before, the quality of the product.
Yes.
And I've also asked Dave to take a look and be able to incorporate deliveries to residents of the product as well, so that we can incorporate that and provide an additional service to our residents of a much better product than we had before. Not everybody has a truck and can go down there, and we'd be able to deliver by the truckload.
And what we would do in that case is provide some samples at City Hall, at Public Works, and transfer station, where residents could come in and look at the shredded mulch or the chip mulch and make a decision if they want a load of that delivered to their home.
So if a contractor, tree service, grinds up all their material, they can deliver that free down there?
Correct.
It's only when they have bulk,
Right.
just random
Brush or
branches and
logs,
brush
yeah,
and
yeah.
logs and so forth. Okay.
Councilman Harvey was first.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As was just mentioned, they can bring brush, or, you know, the residents can bring brush and tree limbs, et cetera, but you don't accept stumps. So what does a person do with a stump?
Hire a contractor to grind it out rather than digging it out.
They have a machine they hook on there and it goes
Yeah.
back and forth.
How's it go? You don't want stumps because you can't do anything with them, or?
Contractors typically don't process those just because of the way that they're made up won't fit through the throat of their grinder.
And we don't have the ability to process them. We'd have to contract for it, we'd have to burn them, or we'd have to take them to the landfill, and we certainly don't want to fill up the landfill with
Yeah. And it's always been the policy down there since the facility was open that stumps were not accepted.
Yeah, I realize that, but I was always wondering what a homeowner does with a stump that he digs out himself, you know?
The easiest way is just.
That would be a small stump,
Yeah.
if you're gonna dig it out yourself.
Taking out stumps like that, you know.
Councilman Malcolm.
Yeah, I was looking at this, and this little place where everybody has to come and shed to show their IDs to get in, doesn't say anything on how you're gonna collect this money. Are they gonna be able to use credit cards if they like to, debit cards?
No, and it's in there that we would accept cash or check.
Why
just-
not? I mean, watch this. I'm a little spoiled, and my wife will verify. I don't carry cash. I don't like cash.
We may get to that, but for the time being, the dependability of credit card machines, especially with our connection down there, is not the greatest. So on a Sunday afternoon, if the credit card machine locks up on them, they really are kind of stuck.
Yeah, but don't tell anybody I told you this, but we have this company called MPW. They have this very nice new systems
And we may get to that, it's just, you know, starting
Let's join
out.
the 21st century here.
And this is also a trial, I mean.
Yeah, well,
to a
I'm-
extent, not really a trial period, but, you know, this is a new service. We want to see how it works. We want to make sure we're covering our costs going forward. We certainly don't want to pass that cost on any further than we have to, so, and if we, you know, it's certainly something that we can keep.
I'm looking at this, so you got a trailer here and you charge this guy $100. Somebody else come and here's another $150. At the end of the day, you might have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. The person in that little booth has got to account all this money, do all this accounting and everything else. Where if people are swiping through the card, all he has to do is give the receipts in an envelope, call us today. The money's in the bank account. Everybody's had a nice day. It's less work.
I don't use a credit card or a debit card.
Yeah, but you don't shop anywhere but in the town, so you refuse to go anywhere other than Walmart.
Something's wrong with shopping locally, huh?
No,
Go ahead, Councilman Brackett.
All right, I'm gonna agree with Councilman Malcolm and disagree with him at the same time. So I also don't carry cash, so I look forward to this being successful and getting to the point where we add a credit card machine down there. But I'm also not a commercial user, so it wouldn't impact me anyway. However, you know, I can see that eventually being an issue, and I commend the innovation on this, and I look forward to seeing it being implemented. Thank you.
One comment, when we do trench electricity to the shed, we are gonna include a communication line in there, so.
That would be good.
If the day comes that we wanna add that, it's ready to go, so.
We could eliminate this whole line item and even this discussion if the county would just pitch in $20,000 a year so the county residents could use our compost site.
Well, I think we would all agree that we wanted to go for
Moving
those
on.
who are paying for it. So I think this is a good system as well. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Hearing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We are on 11P. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Xylem Water Solutions in the amount of $22,750 for the purchase of 5,000 9-inch membrane disc diffusers for use in the aeration tanks. Xylem is the only manufacturer of these membranes, so no other quotes are available. This expense will be paid for out of unused budget funds from the roughing filter top layer. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion?
2 questions.
Go ahead. John's coming up. Go ahead.
Do we have, what damage was done to the previous membrane?
The membranes are old. That's the only damage done to them. And they get brittle and break and they rip and they have, they calcify actually so that the holes no longer pass air through them.
Okay. How much square footage would these membranes be covering?
I don't know. I'd have to figure out the diameter or the bottom of the both aeration basins. I don't have that right off the top of my head.
They're about like 60, 70 feet wide, or in depth, 80 feet?
Well, they're about 17 feet deep, and they're several hundred feet long by 50 feet wide apiece, or more, something of that nature.
Okay.
They're very, very big.
Do we have a warranty?
I don't know. I don't believe so. When we put these in, they were supposed to be replaced every 5 years, and that was in 2010. So we've got double the life out of them already. Okay. So we've done pretty well, I think.
Good job. All right, thank you.
Anyone
That's all I
else?
have. No.
Thank you, John. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11Q. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Rainer Door in the amount of $51,956 for the purchase and installation of overhead doors at the Public Works Department. 3 bids were received, with Rainer Door being the low bid. There's $53,500 budgeted for the purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion?
I was just going to comment that I had asked, you don't need to come up, I had asked in advance about if there was damage done or anything like that with these and whatnot, and it turns out they're quite old and falling apart. And so I just was adding that information in. So thank you.
Thank you. Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11R, presented for City Council's consideration, is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Truck Country in the amount of $70,254 for a number 36,200 GVW truck chassis. 4 bids were received, with Truck Country being the low bid. There was $100,000 budgeted for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Spread. Is there any discussion?
Just one question, are we eliminating the old chassis, or are we gonna reuse it?
For this particular vehicle, we sold the old vehicle, or we're gonna sell it anyway, and then so this will be a replacement, one-for-one replacement.
Good.
How about the box?
The box went with it.
It's
The
with
box was old, everything went with the old truck, the old plow, the old box, the old truck, gone, new truck. We'll have a quotes coming later for new box, new plow,
Okay.
salt
This
spreader,
is just the chassis.
just the chassis, correct.
Just wanted to make sure that we're not taking up more space in the storage.
Nope.
And we're end up
You're not.
removing things, so, good, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11S, presented for City Council's consideration, is a request to restrict parking on the south side of Hershey Avenue from Charles Street to the end of the pavement taper at 2216 Hershey. Currently, the pavement is not wide enough to accommodate parking without impeding into the travel lane. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion?
Did we talk to the neighbors or homeowners?
No, the traffic committee met about it.
While he's walking up, I do have one comment, just that I thought that was no parking already based on the nature of that slant.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we haven't talked to the neighbors. It's city right of way, so technically we don't have to talk to neighbors. I know that's discourteous, but the way that Kelsey's right, the way that road is tapered, you shouldn't be parking there anyway. So this is just to clarify that with a couple more signs that, because when you park on that taper, your back of your car is into the drive lane. That creates a hazard for everybody else, so.
We owned that house at one time at 2216, and that was prior to there being any curbing or paving there at all. And, you know, we were all.
And then you could edge over onto the boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gone away now with the new improvements, so.
Thank you.
Go Bears.
Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11T. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Valley Construction in the amount of $45,750 for the demolition of 507 East 2nd Street. 2 bids were received, with Valley Construction being the low bidder. This purchase order is contingent on the city gaining possession of the building. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Saucedo. Is there any discussion? We already talked about it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11U. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the proposal from Barker Lamar Engineering in the amount of $4,500 for the airspace staking survey and the ravine survey in the amount of $1,650 for a total of $6,150. Funds for this project are available in the landfill operations budget. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11V. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Watersmith Engineering in the amount of $24,540 for the Highway 61 and Grandview Survey Study. Sewer study, I'm sorry. The goal of this study will provide a plan that will service the current request as well as expansion possibilities around this intersection. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Is there any discussion?
Just one question. While they're doing the water sewer, are we looking at the actual supply for water to these businesses, or is the survey only going to be doing sewer evaluations? Because I think there's a 2-inch line that goes to DOT currently right now.
Mayor, Council, we are just looking at the sewer. There is a 2-inch line that goes to serve the DOT. It's private from about, or just east of this property, or the property you see in red on your little drawings there. West, all the way out to the DOT property, it's private, so.
It's private, so
Yes.
then, but it's in city limits.
Right, it's a private service to the DOT. So this would be to study this whole area, to see how to serve the entire area
The sewer,
with sewer.
okay.
You're talking about the whole south end?
No,
Just the
that-
corridor that you see there.
corridor.
Just the okay.
So, Pat, you wouldn't be branching off to where, just beyond where this blue line ends, where it says city limits?
We're looking at, there's 3 different areas that we're looking at. The first area you see in red is the immediate need. The area you see in blue is what's inside city limits. The area you see in yellow is the total service area that we're going to be looking at. So
Okay.
we'll have 3 different options as part of
Okay.
the study.
All right, thank you.
But technically, the city limit still goes further on out,
Yes.
correct?
There's a portion of that that's outside of city limits that we're looking at right now. It's the west of 61 there.
Yeah, the Area 3
Correct.
is totally out.
Half of it is,
or
and
most
half,
of it.
right, yeah. There's two portions to Area 3.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11W. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order in the amount of $23,781.32 to Physio Control for the purchase of Life Pack 15 for the fire department. 2 grants have been secured for the purchase of this equipment. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion? I just had a clarification question, Jerry. We're going to be paying Physio Control, but Stryker is the only vendor. So is Physio Control like the sales company for Stryker?
Stryker bought out Physio Control.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the 2 names. Got it. So we're still going to make the check out to Physio Control, though?
I believe so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for getting grants for that.
Yes,
Thank you.
very good job. And thank you to the Community Foundation and the Health Support Foundation grant that covered the majority of this fund. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11X. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order in the amount of $24,554 to Mincer Ford for the purchase of a 2020 Ford pickup truck to be used by the Animal Control Officer. There's $30,000 budgeted for the purchase. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Is a request for a new animal box to come later?
Because we're selling the old one.
Yeah, that'll be on the next agenda
Okay.
within a few weeks. We still have to put out the bids for it. We needed to know what kind of truck we were gonna get before we could actually put out bids for the animal carrier itself.
Sure.
I can appreciate the truck, 111,000 miles. Do the animal boxes also get kind of beat up and everything?
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad. It's pretty rusted out. We're gonna go with the fiberglass one on the next one that we get,
Okay.
which should last a lot longer.
So why did we give this truck to Public Works? Are we getting rid of a vehicle from Public Works?
No, we're gonna give that truck to Public Works.
I know,
That's the
but my
deal.
question is then ultimately then we're taking another vehicle into Public Works.
So it'll be
Are we
net plus
eliminating
one.
another one? Or do you have one that you're already getting rid of that you didn't know about, or you're?
He doesn't look like he knew he was gonna get it.
Sorry, I talked to Randy Moeller about that one.
Sorry, it's fine.
I should have talked to you first.
Well, I'll have to check and get back to you. I get that.
I just want, again, the whole point is,
Yeah, we don't
are
wanna hoard
are we
vehicles,
adding
so I-
more storage, are we having more
Yeah.
maintenance?
No, I understand
It has a
what you're
lot of
asking.
miles on it. I'd rather sell it
Yeah,
and
I'll-
get auctioned it off, so we're not having to make it unless there's some need that this vehicle that we don't know where of.
I'm only hazarding a guess, but Public Works has a number of vehicles that have.
I would imagine if we're getting one,
that
if
are
we're getting
rusted
one,
out,
we've got
and-
one that's
and this'll
worse, it'll
be
go away.
Better than what they have.
I
but,
know, I just heard him say it was rusted out, and that's why I just want to ask.
We'll get you an answer, but I'm guessing, and I'm sure Randy has pictures too.
Yeah,
And that's fine.
I'll find out tomorrow, I'll let
Just
you know.
asking. Thank you.
I think what Brett said, though, is that the animal carrier is what's rusted out.
The
Correct.
truck's actually,
Oh, is it
around the
too?
wheel wells is actually rusting out a
Okay.
little bit too.
Okay.
I mean, typically it's 10 years old. so-
Sure.
Not as bad
sure.
as maybe
Right.
something in Public Works.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just
Sorry
wanna
about
know.
that, Brian. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
He planned it. Thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11Y. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve a change order number 1 for the high-strength waste project for unknown conditions that were found during the project. Leander Construction has submitted a change order request for extra items that are needed for the project. These items total $21,219.79. Is there a motion to adopt the or to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion?
I have one question, and I apologize for not sending this in an email because it's really a curiosity question, but what is a taco pump?
Council Mayor, that is actually pronounced taco.
Sure. I'm going
It
to call
is.
it taco anyway. but-
Taco.
The name of the company, that's what they call themselves, is Taco. So
All right, well, thank you.
it is for pumping tacos, though. Eventually.
Used tacos. Yeah.
That's bad.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're down to number 14, communications. Councilman Harvey, do you have anything tonight?
Well, being facetious, I was going to say to Greg that if we get down to Y, why can't we have a Z in order to get through that? That's all I have.
We've gone further,
Yes, we have.
and yeah.
Yeah, we've been to AA and BB. Councilman Spread, do you have anything tonight?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Councilman Malcolm?
Just one question for admin. There seems to be a lot of sand on Mississippi Drive. Is there a reason for that? Is that going away anytime soon? Over there by that car place where the Hesco barriers used to be, and they're gone, and there's this giant mountain of sand on the ground. I'm like,
It's on private property.
is it? Or is it on sidewalk?
Not all of it.
Private property.
Mayor, council,
Jim?
very quickly, you all remember that those Hesco barriers were up there for the flood. I don't believe that the owner, I don't want to talk bad about him. I bet he did that and built that and thought that was a great idea. I'm not sure that there was a great deal of thought given to taking them down and how long it would take to get them out of there and what to do with the sand when it's all done. So, I mean, basically the right-of-way is cleaned up with the sand, and he's got a pile of sand there on his own property that he's trying to get rid of and do it without it being a huge cost to him. And so the city has basically told him that, you know, we're encouraging him as much as possible to do that, but other than that, I don't know what we can do.
Does the city have a spot they could put it?
If he would, yes, we've already offered that up. We've
They-
already offered that up to him. If
they
he
haul
wants
it?
to dump it, he can dump it. We've got a place for it.
Okay.
Is there any issues with disposal of flood contaminated sand?
I know some cities will only dispose of it in a landfill, but in my opinion, if you take it and put it into a dirt fill that you're doing, and it's going to be buried 20 foot deep, I don't believe there's any issues with it.
Encase it in concrete?
No, we don't need to encase it in concrete.
Does it create a health hazard being there for people walking down the sidewalk?
That is a good question. I'm going to tell you straight away, no.
Okay.
If it was wet all the time, but it's sand, it dries out really quickly and it dries, and anything that's in there that is alive is dead now. It's only alive while it's wet.
Okay. I'm thinking of the children being close to there in the fountain barefooted and,
But again, it is on private property.
right? Anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Councilwoman Brockert.
Just like to remind folks that school is now in session and to be mindful of the littles because they aren't always mindful of traffic. And it's 7-3 pack, Brian.
Councilman Saucedo.
I would like to make a request for a future agenda item to clarify for me the city code requirements on sidewalks. I know that the city engineer can probably put something together, but in our code, it does not clarify what the thickness of the concrete needs to be, what the base needs to be. And I'd like to be able to see if we could future-wise, just if it's going to be a SUDAS system, something that we can address in a future meeting, not something that we need to do today, but our current code, the way I interpret it was not ready yet. So you're all over it. I was already
And just as a reminder, we also have the sidewalk policy that was adopted by the city council as well, which addresses a number of those issues and
But
standards
if,
as well.
like I said, when I was reading through it and
Not the
going through
code,
it,
there's a sidewalk policy that was adopted by the city council during the Blue Zone project
Okay.
process.
and that's fine, but if he's gonna address it in depth, I just wanna make sure that we're either being in accordance with SUDAS or we're having something that's similar to, that helps identify the clarity through that, because I read through that and I got calls on it, and it's still inconsistencies, and I wanna make sure that we are trying to be as transparent and consistent as we can be.
We have allowed Jim 15 to 20 minutes to talk about SUDAS next week.
That's fine. I'm good with it. Thank you.
Kudos.
That's all I have.
Okay. Councilman Brackett.
All right, so I know I haven't talked about this in quite a long time, but there is still gonna be a soapbox derby this year. Don't you laugh. So this year, you know, we moved it off of the 4th of July because that was too hot. There was some heat injuries, there was potential heat injuries that were gonna happen, there was also everything else going on. So it is going to be October 12th. We've got drivers lined up, we've got cars lined up, we've got some extra cars lined up. So if you're interested in racing, have no idea how to get a car put together, reach out to Muscatine Soapbox Derby through Facebook, through email. Just contact me, however you want to do it. And it's going to be coinciding with the last second Saturday event of the year. So, you know, there'll be a couple of things going on. We've got a number of things planned. I know it's short notice, but there was a lot of things going on this year, and we weren't sure if we we're going to be able to do it, but it is happening. and look forward to seeing people downtown for that. And then maybe get some ideas for next year too, because we're going to be adding a additional class of cars this year for the younger drivers, which will be a wood class. And those details will be going up very soon on our website. Somebody's working on those, I think right now, and I should have that email maybe when I get home. So check that out. The website, as it stands right now, is a little outdated, so give me a day on that. We just had a crash meeting last night. Crash. But anyway, so looking forward to it, October 12th, coinciding with the last second Saturday event of the year. Thanks.
Thank you. Staff, anything?
Yes, Your Honor, and actually kind of an important item. As you may recall, we've been working with our recycling company, and we were able to add some additional recycling bins for cardboard and for additional recycling. The sites are being abused. There are standards and rules posted on the site, very clearly posted, but they are being constantly abused. Kevin will be doing another story on this as well. If the abuse continues, we'll have to pull the bins. It's just becoming a huge mess, hazard, and people need to be following the rules and doing so appropriately. So I would encourage folks to follow the rules.
I have a question on that, if that.
Go ahead.
So once, we've got this, what we passed tonight to put in the gatekeeper down at the compost site, would there be a chance to maybe look at, I'm asking for to look at it, maybe just put those back down there, but behind the gate? And then that way, once they're full, nobody else can come in and do anything. But also, since there's going to be somebody sitting there, it would encourage people to actually break down their boxes, because I think that's one of the biggest issues. I know I've got a lot of cardboard at home I'd like to dispose of and not cram it into my weekly recycle bin or my bi-weekly recycle bin, and I've not been able to use the newly placed cardboard dumpsters because of exactly what Greg's talking about. Crammed full, overflowing, trash all over the ground. I'm assuming there's probably garbage being put in them as well. And so I think maybe to be able to have that amenity for city residents, if we could put it behind that gate. And I know it would limit the time frame on availability, but so be it. At least they'd be available for people to use instead of constantly overflowing.
Dave's here, and we'll certainly take a look at it.
Awesome.
I think just
Go ahead.
adding on to that, one of the things that I would like to comment, I agree with what you're mentioning as far as the biggest issues, we're seeing those boxes not being collapsed. The containers that we have over on 2nd Street, I think are somewhere, not on 2nd Street, I think they're downtown.
Second and
Second and Third. Those basically have slotted openings that you cannot put a full box in there unless you break it down. So if we really do pursue the change that we want to do and saying, hey, like what Kelsey's saying, I completely agree. I would rather invest into those type of dumpsters, and if people are, once they're full, those are going to be used, because the ones downtown, they don't get abused because you have to break them down. And once it's full, it's full.
Just a reminder, they're being provided by Republic.
I know, but maybe we can have those discussions, and we could probably
Certainly.
pursue that as an avenue to say, hey, this is how we can still look at that, because the ones that are over there, they're just basically flip dumpsters, and you can see the piles all along the side.
Absolutely. We'll take a look at it.
So I think that's something that I would like to at least look at if we
Sure.
could.
And I did
Another
have
idea?
one resident call me specifically last night and said, it looks bad, people come in Highway 22 and follow on in, and we gotta go drive right by them. And I went by there yesterday, there was a mattress. Stuffed in the one, it's like, how stupid can you be? I mean, that is, I don't know where they get boxed.
Hey, mattresses are not recyclable?
No, not in the cardboard.
Maybe
Did
it's
you
a
have
box
anything
spring.
else?
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Unbelievable.
I just had a few things. Reminder, next Thursday night is our in-depth meeting. We're going to be talking about an exciting thing, SUDAS from Jim. And then we're also going to have a presentation from some of our service organizations. Reminder, this Friday night at the Discovery Center is a big community block party, free for all residents of Muscatine and all the surrounding areas. If you have a chance to go out there with your family, it'd be a wonderful idea. Sunday is Second Sunday. Can't believe it, second Sunday in September already. But there will be music at 6 o'clock at the Mustard Public Library, rain or shine. So it'll be another good event to go to. Also, Sunday is Grandparents' Day. So if you're fortunate enough to still have your grandparents, make sure that you thank them. And one opportunity that is very unique for us, and we're very pleased to have it, is the Iowa Supreme Court is coming to Muscatine, and they will be hearing arguments on September 10th at the Muscatine High School. It's open to the public. It's a great opportunity for people to just go sit and listen and observe. A great opportunity for us. There's plenty more information out about that, and if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me, and I can steer you in touch with the right people. Did you have something else?
I apologize. Just a reminder, I sent an email out to council as well. We have a recent vacancy on Board of Adjustment. Board
Yes.
of Adjustment is a critical court-like board, and we could certainly use a replacement. It was a female that left the board. We would, so if anybody is interested, contact the mayor, contact Cinda in our office, contact Andrew, and let us know so that we can get a nominating committee put together as soon as possible. We would certainly appreciate getting some names for the Board of Adjustment. And if you have any questions about how that operates, it's on the website, and certainly you can contact Andrew as well.
So that's the Zoning Board of Adjustments, and it was a female. So we do try to keep gender balance on those boards when we possibly can. Andrew, when does that board meet? That might help people to know if they are.
5:30 first Tuesday of the month.
5:30 on the first Tuesday of the month. So anybody who's interested, you can actually just go on the city's website and fill out an application and send it right on in, and we'll get a hold of you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you here next week. We're adjourned.